this is Lee back once again for another video, and today I'm going to be reviewing Shimmer Volume 91. And this was an iPay-per-view. I didn't actually watch it live. I was busy with other things, but I did watch the video on demand. And first off, I gotta say, it's been about a year since I've done one of these, but they're about a year behind with the Shimmer video releases. I'm sure it's hard to run a small independent wrestling promotion like they do. But other than the 250 fans in attendance and the staff and wrestlers themselves and promoters, the general public only has access to like the last year's worth of episodes and whichever the iPay-per-view streaming video is. So I'm going to be getting caught up hopefully before too long. But this was the last time I saw any of these wrestlers. It's been since volume 80, I believe. And then we jumped to 91. And coming up this weekend will be the Shimmer live tapings of some more episodes. I believe it's 92 through 95, and there's something Rise in there as well, which I don't know if that's taking the place of Sparkle, but it's kind of like a tryouts for the new wrestlers. I guess it's not really Sparkle because it's not a pre-show, it's its own show, and I have never seen that. But anyway, back to the review. So this is the video on demand, and I have some notes I'll be referring to. It actually took me a while to get through this particular episode, and normally I like to sit down and watch the whole thing all the way through, like I was there live. But I had many distractions, many disruptions, but enough excuses. Back to the review. So first I'll just say that this video and sound quality were rather bad for this release. They were still, I could still understand what was being said by the commentators, Dave Prazak, and so forth. Portia Perez also on commentary as usual, now that she is officially retired from wrestling. She is a reporter, journalistic, heel presenter, whatever. But the quality on the recording was pretty bad, I thought. But, I'm sure, the usual snafus come up with these live recordings, and when the DVD, Digital Versatile Disc, presentation is officially released, that will be much improved as it has been in the past. I complained about Volume 62, how bad it was, and they cleaned that right up. And it was much more enjoyable to watch the second time in that, a higher level of quality. The venue was very small, very dark. Not as dark and small looking as the Heart of Shimmer Championship they had. Certainly not the big, grand venue of WrestleCon, they had for 53, which I think is still the gold standard of the Shimmer iPay-per-views. But even so, the actual wrestling is really what we're here to talk about. They had some little laser effects, which were kind of nice. But the first opening match, was not much to write home about. I wasn't too impressed. It was adequate. It was Alex Windsor, who I had not seen before. Short hair, dark outfit, versus Cherry Bomb, of course, the shrill, annoying, heelish, shrieker that she is. It's nice to see her back in active competition, healing from her injury, and not just being a valet, but an actual wrestler. And of course, as more of the veteran to kind of put over the newer talent. I haven't seen Alex Windsor. Doesn't mean she hasn't wrestled before. I just haven't seen her. A lot of these wrestlers, they have their individual fans who follow them, but this is kind of a first. And the thing is, some of these wrestlers could have appeared. I don't really look too closely at the spoilers for the shows I haven't seen. The ones who aren't on Digital Versatile Disc yet. So some of these wrestlers may have appeared, and I just haven't seen them yet. So it'll be interesting to go back and then see them appear, and see any development. So, okay match. Cherry Bomb won. Not a whole lot of cheating, just kind of her usual self. Really, just kind of an average match by Shimmer standards. Then we have a four-way, and I've complained about these before, these four-way matches where it's kind of like a tag team, but it's really an unfriendly tag team where you have to tag yourself in if you're just too close to the rope. I always thought it was a bit silly, the way they did this. But the commentators try to make it make sense, try to explain it away. It's just a way to get four wrestlers in the ring, and then just have it just be chaos rather than a team. So whatever. I don't particularly care for it. It's not very believable, but if they want to get more wrestlers in the ring, so be it. So we had Britt Baker, who I had not seen before, and a black, kind of, it's kind of a black goes with everything, so a lot of the lesser known wrestlers kind of came in. The ones that we had in this particular match were, Samantha Heights and Britt Baker, along with, of course, Veda Scott and Nevaeh, formerly of the tag team with Ashley Lane, known as Madison Rain, who I hear tell will be on the next set of tapings. So that'll be interesting. Anyway, so with the four-way, it's always a silly concept. In the end, I think, Veda, it was funny when she came out, she was booed, and I'm not sure if fans were confused. She acted shocked and kind of sad, and then they cheered her afterwards. So whatever, fans do what they do. Nevaeh was really the standout performance of this this particular bout. I thought she was the best, and as always, these little girls that follow her around. I think there was about 4 of them in the crowd, and they just loved Nevaeh, and they cheered for her. Not sure if these are the same little girls, the previous shows that I've been to, but she seems to attract them wherever she goes. Not sure if there's any relation, or these just super fans. But no matter how bad she is, she just can't help being a role model for these young women. But anyway, despite everything that Nevaeh could do, it was an okay match. And surprise, Britt Baker won by defeating Veda Scott. I wasn't too impressed with this match, but again, I've just seen so much better from Shimmer. It wasn't terrible, just not very memorable. I mean, I can barely remember it from when I saw it. There's something to be said about the live experience, but still, it just didn't have the same magic of some of the big, matches. But it's, it's kind of just getting things warmed up here. Volume 91. Let's see. Oh yes. So in the next match we had Lufisto. Now I've always been a Lufisto fan since I started watching Shimmer, at least. And her character's gone through many changes. There's been many off-camera, outside of Shimmer, but in other promotions, character changes. And what has latest happened, I guess, is, she kind of went a little bit nuts. Of course, she was always a little crazy. She went kind of, from being a kind of a perverse character to kind of a goofy, childlike character to kind of a mad woman, to kind of a cosplaying, anime character. But now she's kind of like a biker girl or something, a kind of a mean, leather-wearing, tough woman, whatever. I think if I saw this sort of concept anywhere else, I would be bored. It just sort of reminds me of Lexi Fife, back in the day. Nothing against her, but, I've seen that gimmick so much. But, from Lufisto, you've seen all her other characters, and all of a sudden, something new for her. And, the fans, of course, they like Lufisto, but, what do they do when she's bad? It's hard to boo something that you like. But, if you like them, you gotta boo their character. And, of course, Lufisto, the Wounded Owl, not the Wounded Owl Ronin, but just the Wounded Owl, went against Leva Bates. And now Leva Bates, of late, and ever since she started teaming with Allison Danger back in the day, and then she went solo, she's always been kind of cosplaying these different characters. And, her shtick is she, tries to imitate this particular character, and then after a while she gets serious, or she gets completely beaten down because she's not really that character. She doesn't have that character's special powers. But the character she's been using just a little bit more obscure than I know about. I'm not a huge nerd, a huge geek when it comes to these things, and so I miss some of the references. And usually, Dave Prazak and um, Portia Perez will explain it, and to those who don't know, but she was a character from Bob's Burgers, which is a cartoon. One of these. You had The Simpsons, and you had South Park, and you had more like Family Guy, and all those you know, um, sort of like an over-the-top animated version of a sitcom. Um, not too big a fan of your Earth-based, comedy shows. I much prefer your comedies about space and my people, but whatever. So anyway, she was this little girl character from this Bob's Burgers. She does kind of this weird dance. Leva Bates seems like a good dancer, and she's not a bad wrestler either. But I didn't really get into the character. I guess I feel like some of the better character um, cosplays that she's done, she's kind of used them up, and the pressure's on to come up with new material. So I don't know. There's a lot of characters out there she could portray, but it's always comical. She starts wrestling, at first, um, and the it's funny because she's wearing glasses at the start. So we've got Lufisto, the Wounded Owl, not the Wounded Owl Ronin. She's going against Leva Bates, as this character, I guess, from the one of these cartoon sitcom shows, Bob's Burgers, which I'm not familiar with. You had The Simpsons and Family Guy and American Dad and all those different shows. There's so many of them, and they're kind of over the top, and they're for adults, not for kids, but whatever. So this little girl character from it, I thought she kind of looked like one of the characters from Ghost World, but that's just me. Guess I'm not a big enough geek, nerd, fanboy to know all these things, but that's what the commentary team is for, to explain it to us who aren't in the know. But anyway, she does some dance moves, and she seems like a good dancer and a pretty decent wrestler. But as usual, things get a little serious in the middle. It seems like there's one body part that can be attacked on Lufisto, and that is her posterior. You imagine one of these video games like WWE 2K, and you got the arms and the head and the torso, and when it gets damaged, it turns from green into yellow and orange and red, and then you can defeat them. Well, her bottom, I guess, would be the body part that Leva Bates attacks, and there's a lot of spanking and slaps on the bottom in this match, and it was kind of silly and it's kind of slapstick, and Lufisto gave it right back to her. And Lufisto, portraying more of a bike Lexi 5 kind of character, and I kind of prefer the old Lufisto, but she's such a talented person. She can do what she likes, as far as I'm concerned. But I think I've seen better from both wrestlers. Both performers have had better matches. Beat down Leva Bates, is fine by me, but oh well. Like how partway through the match, Lufisto did keep her glasses, her prop glasses on, and then she finally took them off when she got serious. Kind of reminded me, I guess there's a Nikki St. John wrestler, and she wrestles with glasses on, but I've never actually seen her, so can't really comment. And we had Solo Darling come out, with her fox outfit, and her fluffy tail and everything, and she had a chair. Yeah, a little bit of a little vignette, and not too much, not too important there. But this response to Lufisto, giving Leva Bates a beatdown. It's hard for Lufisto to get people to hate her because she's been such a lovable goof for so long, and even when she cheats and everything, it's kind of like she's a little child, a mischievous child who doesn't really know what she's doing. She just wants to win so badly. The fans forgive her. So she really has to go out of her way. And then Solo Darling coming in, kind of a bit of a rookie herself, and, trying to stick up for her pal. So, see how that... Danny Leonard, one of these behind-the-scenes guys, I guess he's big with Shine, and I haven't really seen Shine or reviewed it. I've gotten a few requests to review it, but I'm way behind because most of the stuff is just streamed live, and that's it. The DVDs, the digital versatile disc versions are way behind. So basically, I'd have to subscribe to the WWN network and buy each individual show. And I'm not really sure. I've seen little previews here and there, and it almost looks like a tryout for WWE. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just a different style. And the question is it part of the story of Shimmer or not? Is it its own story? Who knows? But whatever. I'm sure they're trying their best. It just looks like it's a slightly different product than I'm used to, and once I found something I like, it's hard for me to try new things, I'll admit. But that's how it goes. We're all meant to reach out and learn. So maybe I will give Shine a try one of these times. But anyway, here he is to plug it. So, moving on, we get a little segment with the managerial license. Nicole Savoy, the Heart of Shimmer champion. She won the secondary belt that Shimmer introduced on their iPay-per-view tournament for the, I believe it was the last one that they did. So Nicole Savoy, really like a young wrestler. She had an injury, and so she couldn't wrestle. I guess that's what happens, and you get these young high flyers really going nuts, and they get injured so often. So it's both good and bad. It's good that they get to do so much and impress us with their acrobatic feats of skill, but at the same time they're just so prone to debilitating injuries. And when you're young, you can bounce back, but as you get older, as a wrestler, as an athlete, you have to change your style to avoid those, dangerous, career-shortening maneuvers. So good luck to her, and of course she's going to be, as a manager, she's going to pull some shenanigans. So we'll see that soon. Now, so we get introduced, if you haven't already, to this heel stable, the Trifecta, calling themselves. Shayna Baszler, from MMA, is part of this. And also, of course, the returning Mercedes Martinez, one of my favorites, along with, cheerleader Melissa, and of course, Mischief, who hasn't been seen since her I guess, retirement towards family life. But Mercedes Martinez, I sort of suspected she had kind of quietly retired, but I was wrong, and I'm kind of glad that she's back. I guess, the title, the Shimmer Championship, has changed hands a couple of times behind the scenes. Well, and these unreleased digital versatile disc episodes, not yet out for the fans to view. So only those who saw it live, those who read the spoilers online, know what happened. But apparently, Mercedes basically beat down Madison Eagles and took the championship belt. So now she is the champion, and she has these other two with her. Of course, Nicole Savoy, very talented young wrestler. Really like her. Of course, I love Mercedes, good or bad. And she looks great. And also Shayna Baszler. Now, Shayna Baszler, I'll say more about her. Whenever they brought these MMA guys into TNA on TV, I was always disappointed. It was sort of like they were trying to recreate, the magic, I guess, that Ken Shamrock had in the WWF back in the day, But whatever, they brought in these guys and they couldn't wrestle because obviously, real fighting versus scripted fighting, totally different. Just because you're in good shape and people like you doesn't mean, you're going to fight the same. So Shayna Baszler, I was thinking, she's not going to be very good. She can't really talk. But actually, I think she's come a long way in a short period of time. During a match, she wears this little mouth guard, and she's always kind of grimacing with it. It's amazing what something as simple as a mouth guard can add to a character, just in the mannerisms and facial expressions. Kurt Angle did it to great effect in TNA. He was always kind of, moving his lips around with the mouth guard. I don't know. It's just a thing. It's a gimmick. It's part of a gimmick. So the Queen of Spades, Shayna Baszler. I worry, of course, for these wrestlers who were formerly something else, and I don't know how much training they've had, and maybe they're a little rough around the edges. And she does seem a little rough around the edges yet. But still, I can get behind, her effort. And, certainly it may be a little less of a dangerous job, to wrestle, depending on how she wrestles, but we'll see. So the trifecta, so far I'm behind this team. It was a little bit funny though because there was one little girl in the audience, and from the photographs, it looks like she's all by herself. She's just kind of like right up on the guardrail. It was a bit comical because you have this one little girl in the audience, this little young fan, and she kind of gets right up to the guardrail and she's like yelling. In the pictures and the photographs, it looks like she's all by herself, yelling at these three, presumably, tough, murderous wrestlers right at the ring, and she's just kind of yelling at them, and they're all yelling back at her. Whatever happened to jumping out of the ring and just staring them down, a little child, till security has to get in the way? But whatever, she had fun. It always seems like there's tons of fans who are mostly guys, and there's a couple little girls that are there. Who knows? Maybe they'll be future wrestlers or whatever. But, it was kind of fun. They had a little back and forth. You can't really tell what they're saying, partially because of the bad recording, partially because of the commentary booming over it. But, that's a treat for the live fans. They get to hear the, the little dialogue back and forth, so to speak. So, and, on their shirts it says, "We run S," it's in its expletive. So, pretty cool. So then they were talking about Candice LeRae, bit of a fan favorite, Candice LeRae, known to hang out with Joey Ryan, although I heard he, not too long ago, was married. He proposed in the ring to this other female wrestler, and it's quite comical how it all went down. A little bit, R-rated, but whatever. And so Candice LeRae, a bit of a workplace harasser, if you will, but still well liked by the fans. Bit of a mischievous streak in her. But anyway, Candice LeRae, deemed unworthy of Mercedes Martinez. So, building up some hype for the main event of the show later on. So this was it's all storytelling, building up the match. And it was tough for me because, I had to take a little break in between. I wasn't just waiting for it to happen at the end of the evening. I really had to wait a while before I got to it. So they did kind of lower the tension by claiming that the, title would not be defended. So I guess poor Candice is just going to have to fight Mercedes, just for the guts and the glory, but not for the title, not for the championship belt. So next we had, okay, let's see. Oh yes, Santana Garrett, known as Santana in TNA. She's back, and she looks like Wonder Woman, as she always has. Kind of this, 70s look to her with her long boots and so forth. She was dressed in kind of this Batman cosplay outfit, Batman cosplay outfit, bedecked, Santana against Shayna Baszler, and this was, of course, Shayna's time to shine, pardon the expression. I was really watching her, I wasn't watching Santana. Santana Garrett does her usual moves. I feel she was totally wasted in TNA. They made her just kind of crazy girlfriend for another character. Whatever. She had a couple good matches there with the one night only. But she was competent enough, and, she was kind of carrying Shayna Baszler, the rookie. But, I think Baszler did okay. She did fine. Her nose got bloodied in the match, and she didn't even notice it. She was just kind of, blood was pouring out of her nose, and she kind of wiped it off at the end, not really realizing what was going on. And I didn't really see the hit that did it, maybe one of those moves. But she seemed competent enough. So, a little rough around the edges, but I think a little more training and she could really be something. She seems very cocky, and she has the mouth guard, so that's her gimmick, is that she's an MMA fighter, So I was really thinking I was disappointed by her. It wasn't the greatest match that I've seen, but it was competent. It was competent enough. If I'd seen a match like this on WWE or maybe TNA today, not during the golden age of the knockouts, I'd think, yeah, this is great. It's just that I know that Shimmer is capable of so much better that I judge these matches to be, okay or not so great. Certainly weren't terrible. Just they have such a high, pedigree to live up to, and I don't mean Triple H's finishing move. So let's see what else. Okay, after this, I think things really got good because you had Tessa Blanchard and Vanessa Craven. They called it Mount Craven, and then they had to correct the announcer. It's Mount Tessa. So that was I guess a flub, but maybe it foretold things to come. Now, in prior shows, and of course we've missed some, jumping from 80 to 91, we've had, the cowardly heel small wrestler ordering around the giant muscle, wrestler in the form of Vanessa Craven. And so, it was kind of almost like a manager-wrestler relationship. And it was an interesting dynamic, but I really wanted to see, Tessa Blanchard show what she's got. And I guess she's appeared in NXT as well. And I'm kind of behind on NXT, so I'm not going to get into that too much. Very short matches, except on the pay-per-views, which you need the network for. But this match blew me away because all of a sudden, Tessa Blanchard, a credible threat. She went from like 5 miles per hour to 60 miles per hour. All of a sudden, she was a powerhouse. And of course, Vanessa Craven, tough and strong, not just a comedic character. And there was some dissension between the two, but it was believable. It wasn't just, oops, I hit you by accident, sorry. It was, you want to fight? You want to fight for real? This means so much. So now that the tag champs, when did that happen? Well, we'll have to get caught up a little bit, but they are now. So they're now transformed from a kind of a comedy duo of villains into a credible threat to the rest of the Shimmer tag team roster. So, and then we had Mia Yim and Kaylee Ray, a good combination. Mia Yim's come such a long way. I've just grown to respect her. She has her moves, she has her humor. She's not just a dancer, a volleyball player. She's an actual, wrestler of her own, in her own right. And Kaylee Ray, she's small but very surprising in what she can do with her high-flying skills, and she really does seem tough. One of few words in the Shimmer wrestling room, locker room, but nevertheless fun to watch. So the two of them fight, this heel team, and they end up being defeated, unsurprisingly, because you hope that when someone gets the tag team belts, that they hang on to them for a little while. So I'll be pleased to see more from both of these teams, actually. And there were a lot of, crowd-pleasing moments, of course. This one person's distracted, arguing amongst themselves, and then, oh, here comes the drop kick, here comes the switcheroo, that sort of thing. So this was a good match, a solid match. I'd go back and watch it again. It was so refreshing, after seeing so many kind of average, so ho-hum matches thus far. This just kind of surprised me, caught me off guard. Yeah, I remember liking Shimmer. Yeah, I want to see more of Shimmer. Come on, guys, you got it back. So the crowd was hot by this point, so kudos to them. I should also say, I've been saying, how Shimmer is kind of a year behind. Well, volume 76 through 79 are coming out, I hear, this weekend. So within the next 2 weeks, people that ordered them apparently will be able to view them on digital versatile disc at home, which is nice. But I saw the shows live, and not to brag, but just pointing out that my reviews of those shows are out there elsewhere on my channel on YouTube. So eventually, I will be obtaining the digital versatile disc versions, and I'll be watching them again with pleasure because they were some good shows. and seeing, the different camera angles, with and without the commentary, giving them another look. And I may have some additional comments, but I pretty much said already what I want to say about them. But they kind of lay the foundation, the framework for these. On these iPay-per-views, you often have wrestlers that you don't see in the rest of the show. It's almost like a tryout. And sometimes, some of the main people who are coming in for the 4-volume, weekend tapings don't show up. Maybe they've got other things going on and they just, they got to save their energy. But I was glad to see, Mercedes Martinez and some of the other wrestlers. Cheerleader Melissa was not there for this one. But Jessica Havoc, known as Havoc Death Machine and Havoc, anyway, she was there. And the outfit she came out wearing reminded me a lot of Mischief. Really missing her in wrestling, but, she has gone on to other things, family life and so forth. So good for her. Science and all those, saving the world from deadly diseases. We have to settle for Jessica Havoc. She's still the big, scary monster punk that we've always hated and loved. There she is, and a surprise. Cat Power. Haven't seen her in ages, and I've never, seen her live. A very attractive woman, very competent wrestler, and she kind of went from just kind of a normal, just a woman wrestler to kind of an actual, like, cat woman. But here she comes off, she's the Joshi Slayer. She has kind of a makeup mask over her eyes. And, she looks very different, with her hair and so forth. But the two of them, you can tell, veteran wrestlers, experienced fighters. They did a lot of brawling, throwing a lot of, heavy hits and things like that, And it was a joy to see both of them. You could tell they were veterans, experienced, fighters. So, keeping the show going between the two of them. So I would say this was a good match. Enjoyed it. I kind of thought it was a foregone conclusion that Jessica Havoc would win. I still kind of wanted Cat Power to do what she does, but, she tended to lose, I think. But you still always believed that she was a threat. You believed that she was going to be a hard opponent for, the one she went against. She wasn't just a pushover. Kind of a lover of pain, just kind of a nasty person to contend with. So, good. And I guess they've both been training in Japan, so they've gotten some more experience to hone their craft. That's always good to see. And then bringing it home for the United States. So in the next match, you had Nicole Matthews, the woman we all love to hate. And she had kind of a different look. She got makeup on, which always looked a little odd. I guess the way she wore her face before, it just kind of blended in. She looked very, kind of tomboyish. But now she's got makeup on. She's a little more elegant with her outfit, whatever. She's still, a cheating, bad person. So it's great. And, of course, we know she has skill and experience. It's a shame that Portia Perez had to retire. We hated her so much. But, Nicole Matthews carries it on, as only she can. And her opponent was Shotzi Blackheart, who I'd never seen before. She kind of looks like a steampunk anime Suicide Squad comic book character with a bright green hair and a horned helmet. Just kind of an odd-looking person, kind of a Joker woman. But she was the good guy in the match. I guess she's one of these, they don't call it the Shimmer Wrestling School, but the Rise seminar, or whatever it is. So I guess she's one of these new up-and-comers, and she won some kind of contest they had. So I don't know if she's the Rise champion. There's so many belts, I can't keep track of them all. But, if you can and you do, good for you. But I guess she kind of proved herself, and she's just really young seeming and, full of energy and vitality. Eager to prove herself, with these Shimmer fans. So that's kind of pretty much what we saw. So not sure how I feel about it, but, she certainly is trying hard, so good for her. A lot of times, these newer wrestlers, they come out, they don't really have much of a gimmick. They're just kind of, plain wrestler, and then they get a gimmick later on. But she already has her gimmick, so, I don't know, kind of interesting, kind of something new. So green versus red, very Christmassy. I was feeling festive. Nicole Matthews, of course, her usual bravado and underhandedness. I liked it. I enjoyed it. They did some brutal moves, some big slams. It was a match worth watching. Um, Now, I guess it was a non-title match because, that the Rise title didn't go to Nicole Matthews. She, destroyed her. But of course, Shotzi did put up a good fight. Um, yeah, so decent match. Mia Yim and Kaylee Ray in a tag team against, the aforementioned Mount Tessa or Mount Craven, as the case may be. Very excellent Shimmer tag team match. So quite enjoyed that. Following that match, we have Kelly Ann, or Kelly Ann English, coming out with her red hair and her black outfit. A kind of a sense of humor and brutality. Against, what was her name? Dulce Garcia, according to the announcer. And I thought there's something familiar about this person. Her poses, her moves, her six-pack. And of course, obviously, they didn't say it on the announcing, but exactly. But on the outfit it said, if you look closely, it's the Mexican flag, and it says Sexy Star. So of course it's Sexy Star without her mask. Famous luchadora from Lucha Underground, wrestling against men, small men, but still men nonetheless. Proving herself. I used to not think much of Sexy Star. I saw maybe one or two matches she was in Japan. She botched some move and broke some woman's tooth out, and she just seemed like her only thing was, oh, it's a pretty girl in a mask. So what, but some wrestlers, they have a bad night, or, maybe they just go back to the training room and they just improve themselves and really come back strong. And so, over the time, Lucha Underground is obviously very edited. It's more like a drama, a comedy show, as opposed to a straight-up wrestling, sports entertainment simulation. Certainly there's a lot of supernatural things that go on, otherworldly plots, and, highly produced backstage segments. But nevertheless, Sexy Star, very impressive, and I've gained a respect for her over time. So it was nice to see her, but it just kind of looked like someone had just kind of surprised her and she was at a pajama party or something, and, okay, I'm going to wrestle now. It's like, wear the mask. I mean, she's an attractive woman. It's not as if she needs to hide a horribly disfigured, face. No offense, if you do that sort of thing, it's quite all right. But I miss the mask. I miss the gimmick. But of course, very talented wrestler, female athlete. And she and Kelly Ann, went through their paces. They did a lot of brawling, a lot of outside fighting, and Dulce Garcia, certainly a talented woman. Even if I didn't know who she was, who is she? She seems good. I hope she does more. I'm not sure if she's retired. I'm not caught up on all my Lucha Underground. But I heard she was retiring. It might have been just a storyline. It might have been real. But if she came back for one more match in the United States for us, the fans, the Shimmer North American fans, well, great. Thank you. So a respectable match from both of them. So very fresh, very good. And I liked it. I liked it a lot. And moving on, finally towards the end, I'm just glancing here, we had the final main event of the show of Shimmer Volume 91, Mercedes Martinez versus Candice LeRae. And I expected a lot of cheating, I expected a lot of interference. There was some, but it was subtle. Mercedes Martinez, in her heel run, she's always been very smart with her cheating. When she cheats, she bends and breaks the rules. She does it in in a, a thinking way. She doesn't just blatantly do it. Sometimes the referees, they kind of just fall down on the job. They see, blatant cheating in front of them. A few shows ago, I complained about this. They just, there's just blatant weapon shots or crotch hits or whatever right in front of the referee, and the referee just kind of goes, I can't do anything. It's like, make it a no disqualification then. There's no point. But I haven't seen that in this show, and hopefully we won't ever see that again. Hopefully, the officials will, come across much more believable from then on. Because I like them. I like their officiating team. Just for some reason, I don't know. They just the choreography was off or something was wrong. But none of that this time. So Mercedes can sneak in her weapon hits and so forth. Really, all that happened is Nicole Savoy was ringside, and she just kind of shoved Candice LeRae at one point. She didn't really hurt her. She just kind of, Candice LeRae was just kind of get some momentum. She's going to run up back onto the ring, and then she just kind of got shoved, and she's like, what? How dare you shove me? She didn't fight. She didn't attack her back, because that would be a DQ according to the video games. Rules are always selectively enforced in professional wrestling anyway, but whatever. So Candice, stayed the face, and then she went back into the ring, and Shayna Baszler came out to distract the referee as Nicole Savoy was getting ejected, and then that's when Mercedes, with her title belt, knocked out Candice LeRae. Of course, the classic, knockout with the belt. But she didn't quite put her away yet. So she had to keep on fighting on. But finally, Mercedes was the winner. And I kind of knew she would be. I thought, well, maybe Mercedes is retiring. I'm just speculating here. I don't know. I'm not an insider. I don't know these things, what they're going to do. But I thought, maybe she's just going to have a quick run with the title, which I'll say about time. It's about time she was the Shimmer champion. I'm glad that they gave her that role, that honor. Because it is an honor to kind of lead the company, even though anyone can do it. It just, I like Mercedes as champion. I like to go in after the championship, but, just so much, and she finally gets it. She had to be bad to get it, of course. But I thought, of course she's going to win. She's going to have it for a while, and then when she's ready, she'll give it up, and then maybe she'll just retire, and that'll be it. But who knows? I'd kind of like to see her turn good again at the end, and she will, even if she's bad. Portia Perez basically told everyone to take a hike, after, giving her final promo. Kind of undefeated at the end. I like it when wrestlers get a bit of a send-off. They don't just disappear, but never say never, who knows. So I'm looking forward to seeing more of Mercedes until she decides to hang up her boots and call it quits. Hopefully, before she gets too badly injured, because I guess she has had some bad injuries over the time, as any veteran would. Unfortunately, the nature of the performance, the nature of the sport, as it were. But this was a great, solid match. I think both of them, both Candice LeRae and Mercedes, very talented women, very tough. They don't let their looks interfere with their ability to come across as strong, powerful, threatening, tough, all those other wonderful adjectives you can think of. So definitely the main event well worthwhile. So I would say, just to sum up, Shimmer Volume 91, it was not the greatest iPay-per-view. I still say that Volume 53 is their best effort. And maybe that'll never happen again. But it was just such a big show, and such, and it had the cage, which, wasn't perfect, but, just so many rivalries coming to a head, and, Lufisto's injury, and, just all the drama that came with that, and Sweet Soraya slapping the fan, that was silly, but whatever, I just love that show so much, and it was such a fresh new thing for them to do, and just ever since then, the iPay-per-views just haven't had that grandeur. And, I know fans have said, well, I like the smaller venue, I like to kind of get used to the wrestlers, rather than having just tons and tons of people packed in, just have some nice, digestible matches, each to their own. They're part of the digital virtual disc library now, so you can just enjoy them whenever. I would say, that this was just kind of an average show as far as the iPay-per-views go. I think it really, it started off a bit slow, but it really picked things up in the middle. And, over those 2.5 hours, you know, it was better than the tournament. I mean, the tournament was going somewhere. Here it was just kind of back and forth, but you had some really solid matches. You had a really good main event, some build up towards it. You had a great tag team match, and you had, a match between some veterans in there in the middle. And then you had a lot of rookie introductions with veteran wrestlers, and it's crazy to think, some of these. I remember some of these wrestlers when they were rookies in Shimmer, and now they're, putting the other rookies through their paces. So, anyway, that's all I really have to say about Shimmer Volume 91. I'm looking forward to reviewing more Shimmer. I've kind of gotten behind. I've done a lot of video game and film reviews. There's just an infinite number of things just about that you could spend your time reviewing. And I've certainly enjoyed the reviews I've done. And I hope and plan to do more. And so I hope you'll be patient with me, especially during the hot summer months, that more reviews will be coming. So watch for those. And continue to watch me on YouTube and other places such as Daily Motion. And leave your comments if you like. And I'll maybe respond to them if I like. So we'll see. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you hopefully before too long in the next video. Goodbye.